Hey everybody, Von7 Anime Freak here, and as you guys can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about why I broke up with Freak Eating, aka Natterita from YouTube. Again, if you read the disclaimer, this video isn't intended to harm anyone, and I won't be mentioning addresses or people's name that haven't been public with me before. You know, I'm really nervous to film this. But I feel like people ask me at least 2 or 3 times a month if I'm still with Freak Eating, and I just thought, you know, I should just do a video explaining why we are no longer together. And this is coming from a really dark place. I did live with Natterita for 2 years, and it was some of the worst times for me ever, and I'm going to be explaining that to you. I also wrote down a bunch of notes nervously, like what should I talk about. I'm going blank, but I really feel like this is important for people to express a lot of pain that they're feeling and express, you know, things that happen to them, and maybe this might help someone who's in a similar situation. But we're going to start about how we met. So if you guys didn't know, I'm Muslim, so is Natter, and fun fact, my mom actually didn't know that I was with Kevin before I was introduced to Natter, and I actually took a trip to see Kevin before I met Natter, and I was dating Kevin on and off since I was in my teens. And I had to keep that a secret, so I lied to my family and told them that I was going to Georgia to visit some girlfriends of mine from high school. My mom didn't know that I, at the time, was going to visit Kevin. And so she wouldn't approve of that. And if you guys know anything about being a Muslim American or Arab American in this country, it's very difficult for parents, especially strict parents, to let their children do anything without consequences, and they're very strict. Like growing up, I wasn't allowed to speak English in my home. I wasn't allowed to watch movies without any parents. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. It's just a whole ball that I will get into. Okay, so I'm nervous. I've never filmed a video this personal before, and I actually am happy to do it because I'm getting this off of my chest, and you guys can actually get a little inside of what it's like being me and what things I had to go through. So let's start from there. So I worked at a WIC place, which is Women, Infant, Children, and you know, I had this job, but I went to Georgia. I took a week off. I came back, and the second day that I was back in California from Georgia, my mom had told me that she had arranged for me to meet this guy, because in the Arab culture, a lot of the times marriages and engagements are arranged by family members or by people who have to be approved, all kinds of stuff like that. You know, it's so different in America, where you're like, oh, you're 18, you're an adult now, go be free in the world. It's not like that in Middle Eastern cultures at all. You're considered basically a child until you get married and have kids, and I, at my age, I'm not married and I don't have any kids, and it's just a difference in culture. And so me, you know, I've been kicked out of my home before for having piercings and all kinds of stuff, and so I was always nervous that if I didn't listen to my family, like, I always got ganged up on because I was different from everybody. And obviously you guys could tell I'm not like your average girl, and what is normal doesn't exist. Also, this video might be in 2 parts because I'm kind of like, I wrote down a lot of things to talk about, and it might be a lot for one video, so I might split it into 2. So we started about, you know, Kevin and I was a secret, and so I was very disappointed to hear that my second day back in California, my mom had arranged for me to meet this guy, and I was so brokenhearted about it. I told Kevin about it, and you know, he wasn't really doing that good either. He was going through a lot of issues at that time, and he was really drunk and stuff like that, and this is just like more fuel to the fire. So I was, you know, still with him at that time, but I was explaining to him like, shit, you know, my mom, she has me set up to meet this guy, blah blah blah, it's in my culture, blah blah blah, you know, I'm scared, I don't want to do this. But you can't really deny your parents, and a lot of people do. Like me, I eventually just decided to do my own thing and live my own life and be free, which a lot of people are against, but oh well. It's not hurting anybody. I'm just living my life and, you know, being me. So be yourself. Don't be forced to marry someone you don't want to, because it really sucks. Because if you guys live in the Middle East, or if you guys live in certain parts of the world, they actually don't get to choose someone to find, to love. People get globbled together, and like you have to be with them for the rest of your life, and then years later you're miserable living your life in this crazy marriage, and things were forced upon you, things were done in the heat of the moment with pressure, and you're just like, what am I gonna do? So anyways, so back to that. I was nervous as shit because my mom told me I was going to meet this guy. So not even the second day I was back in Georgia, I had to like get nervous. I was nervous. I wore a white jacket, red lipstick. I try not to be too crazy, because knowing me, my mom knows me, that I'm weird, and it's obvious when I speak, the way I dress, the way I look, you know, it's just obvious. And I went to his home, nervous as shit, right? And me and my mom go, and I meet him, Nader, I meet his dad, I meet his younger brother, who is awesome and gay, and I love him to pieces. And I'm sorry that my last ex that I was with blocked you and blocked your boyfriend Ray, and I'm sorry. I was trying to search for you guys, and I was like, what, they're blocked? And I was like, oh damn. So I'm sorry about that. It wasn't me that blocked you, I swear. I had a really controlling boyfriend for years, and at the time, not Kevin, it was just someone else, and just it was bad. Anyways, so one thing at a time. So afterwards, I meet him, and they have this whole projector set up for me. Like, he was on Man vs. Food, and he has a YouTube channel, and he did this and that, and so they were trying to like butter my biscuit basically. And I was there just, you know, doing the normal thing of, oh yeah, you know, oh haha, you're funny, you know. And also, his stepmother, aka sometimes in Middle Eastern culture, cousins marry, and one of the things we had in common was that his mom passed away, and my dad was killed in 2009 by arson. So we were both kind of like broken souls, because we had family members who passed, and so his mom wasn't present because his mom was deceased, may she rest in peace. So his dad married his cousin instead, who came from Egypt, who didn't speak that much English, was very timid and shy, and so I was greeted by her, him, Nader, his dad, and Yusuf, and it was me and my mom and his two adorable cats. So, you know, we're there just talking casually. It's not like we can like tell each other our whole life stories. And we were talking for a few hours, and he was showing me all these things, and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was kind of cute. I mean, I was 20 at the time. He was 28, turning 29, and the age difference was like almost a decade. Which is funny, because if it's like a guy who's older, people don't care, but if a girl dates a guy who's like younger, they're like, oh, you're this, is that, which is stupid. So afterwards, it gets late, and you know, we go outside because he has a backyard, and we just sat there and just talked privately without them there, and well, they were still there, obviously. So we went out and talked privately, and I admitted to him, which is a very hard thing to admit if you're a Middle Eastern person, especially a girl, is your virginity. And I told him that I was really drugged up when I was 17 and I lost my virginity then. It's not something that I'm proud of, and it hurts to think about sometimes, but you know, shit happens in life. And I was crying when I told him this, and I wasn't trying to be like this super fake, everything's fine person. I was trying to tell him, like, look, this is like who I am. Like, yeah, I messed up and did this when I was younger. Yeah, I'm not a virgin. Yeah, I'm not this perfect little white flower that you can serve at a feast to make it look nice. I'm kind of like not like that at all. I like to speak my mind, and people don't like that. They want me to just, you know what I mean? I feel like that people do this to a lot of people as well. Okay, so we talked about how him and I met, and we talked about Georgia and how arranged marriages are. So it wasn't like him and I ran into each other. It was arranged by our family that met at a mosque. And I talked about how I lied to my family about going to Georgia and that trip because I was afraid I was going to get kicked out. Me having a boyfriend still wasn't allowed, and this was still like literally 2 years after my dad was killed. So my wounds are still pretty fresh at this point. I'm still very sensitive towards things, and now I'm going to talk about me and Kevin. Basically, it didn't work out between us because I was in this weird predicament of what do? I don't know what to do. My mom wants me to do this, this, and that. I don't know what to do. He's so far away, and we ended up just parting ways, but we decided to still stay friends on Facebook and would still stay in contact with each other. After we met, right, they basically were like, oh, you guys like each other, and we were like, yeah, you know, we like each other, and basically they wanted us to shop for rings already first week. So first week or two knowing each other, literally shopping for rings, and I'm scared at this point. I'm still with Kevin at this point, but you know, because none of my family knows what's going on, and I'm just in this weird predicament, which is what a lot of Arab girls go through, and people who are forced to do things they don't want to, they go through these things and they don't have any outlet, so they're very stressed and depressed, and it puts a strain on your mental health as well and physical health as well. So I was really scared. We're already ring shopping. They already want to go to the courthouse. They already want to do all this bullshit, A, B, and C, D, whatever. And at the time when my dad passed, 3 of his best friends tried to marry off my mom, which really insulted me. There were guys who abused me when I was younger, who hit me, who would try to teach me Arabic and stuff like that, and it was really hurtful, and I tried to get those guys away from my mom, and my mom ended up with one of my dad's friends, but I guess he was different, but I didn't know about it, and I was the last person in my family to know about it. So when I did find out, I threw a big fit, and I basically ran away from home, or I told my mom I never want to see her again, and I asked Nader if it would be okay for me to live with him, since I was like, F it, we're already like engaged, right? Well, not American wise or whatever, so just like say of mouth. So after that, I ended up moving in with him, but I'm kind of skipping steps here. He did come to my mom's house before I moved in with him, and there are stories that happen at my mom's house before living. So let me just backpedal a little bit. So that's the reason why I moved in with Nader, was because my mom had lied to me about getting married behind my back, Arab-wise, not American-wise, and I couldn't take it because I thought that, you know, I was helping her, getting these guys away from her and all that stuff, but, you know, she is a widow of 7 kids, she gets lonely, she deserves happiness too. I realize that now. I didn't really realize that back then, but it wasn't cool for her to lie to me or for my whole family to know except me, even though I was giving my mom half of my check from my work. So before I moved in with Nader, my mom would invite his stepmom over, and we realized that she was kind of odd. Like, she was talking like she was scared, and she kind of wanted to stay out longer because she wasn't allowed to go do things. And when she went to the mall with my mom, Natter's dad started calling her like crazy, asking where she is, who she's with, all these things, and Natter would actually come over and we would film a YouTube video, and he was like, since I'm a YouTuber, blah, blah, blah. So we were at each other's homes for like 2 weeks or so, and before I moved in. So I'm just trying to remember where things started to go really, really wrong. Basically, my family is the type where we won't really show you how we behave with each other until we're comfortable with you. Natter's family ended up having like panic attacks and crazy attacks within like the first week or two of knowing them. So the stepmom would come to the house, she would cry that she didn't want to go because Natter's dad was doing A, B, and C, and D to her, which I don't think YouTube will allow me to say, and I don't want to get in trouble, but you just have to trust me. Natter's younger brother, Yusuf, which I've mentioned before, he's been in my YouTube videos actually, and I love him. We noticed that the stepmom would, avoid going home and wanted to stay with us longer, and I was kind of oblivious to it until my mom was telling me all these things, and then I've seen Yusuf like flip out and say to Natter's dad, "You're the one that killed my mother, you're the one that made her go depressed, you're the one that made her quit her job, you're the one that made her blah blah blah, leave her friends, you're the one that killed my mom, blah 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 blah." So he was saying stuff like that because Natter's dad was a very jealous, envious, he didn't like when Natter's mom was alive, from the stories that Yusuf has told me and the stepmom has told me, that she used to work in a library, and the dad said, "No, you can't work in the library," and she got really depressed and gained weight, and I'm not trying to be rude when I'm saying that that's how she passed, but that's just the facts. She was really overweight and depressed and taking pills, and she passed away sadly. And I'm not trying to be rude about her death or anything like that, because I know what it's like to have a parent die in a very horrible, tragic way and not get over it. So it's not to disrespect him. Anyways, so we already heard from the stepmom that this guy is not right in the head, and he makes her do all these things, he checks her in certain ways, and it's not cool. And it's so not cool, the fact that Natter's younger brother helped my family get her on a plane back to Egypt, where the dad wouldn't let her go back. Strike one right there. Strike one that I did not see. Because I didn't blame that on Natter. That was more of like the dad and the stepmom were having problems that I didn't want to interfere with. But when my mom told me that the younger brother helped pack her bags and we drove her to the airport, and she was so happy to be free. Okay? She was happy to be away. Okay? And another thing, it's interesting because I also met his aunt, Natter's aunt, who looked exactly like the mom. Beautiful. Beautiful light eyes, blonde hair, tall, nice bone structure. Because I've seen pictures of his mom. May she rest in peace. She was a beautiful woman. She would warn me about the dad. So that's three people warning about the dad and how Natter is manipulated by him and how all these things, and I'm just like, I'm already processing my own grief, so it's interesting to just hear all these things coming from so many people. And this is accumulative, this has been constantly happening from the 2 years I've been living there. People, warning, and it's terrible when people in the inside family are warning you to get the hell out, so, also, I didn't mind that Yusuf was gay at all, but when I told Natter that, I had done drugs and I was doing this and that, he told his dad, and his dad told some people at the mosque. He told my mom, your daughter's A, B, C, and D. And my mom was like, well, your son is gay. I'm not going around telling the whole mosque that you have a gay son. And it was just very peculiar on his part if a girl is like trying to be engaged, whatever that means, with your son, and you want to ruin her reputation. You don't even know her by telling strangers in the mosque that I did A, B, and C, and D, which, by the way, I think a majority of people have had trouble and turned to drugs or alcohol or other things, you know, and I just think that that wasn't cool. And so fast forwarding a little bit from that, so she ends up leaving, and because when I moved in the house, she was no longer there. So I guess we kind of had this mutual hatred for my mom, where they kind of hated my mom, except Yusuf. They kind of hated my mom because my mom helped the stepmom run away to Egypt with her family because she didn't want to live there anymore. And I guess I didn't like my mom because she got married behind my back. So it was kind of like two peas in a pod. You know, I was very depressed, lonely. My family was not telling me truths. They were keeping it, which is stupid. They should have just told me, but you know, past is past. And so I moved in with Nader, and I know the law, basically. I know that if you move in with someone, it's very hard to kick you out, which I was nervous about because it has happened to me before in my mom's house. So I told them, like, hey, if I live with you guys, can my name be on the lease, and so that I don't have anything to worry about? And I was open with what was bugging me, what was making me nervous. And they said that the only way I could be on the lease is if I went to the courthouse and married him. Just like that. And I would stall, do it this time. And I already had a ring that was like $60, $80 or whatever. I think I still have it somewhere. I don't know. So after that, I just was like, you know, I'm glad I'm away from my family. They lied to me about the whole marriage thing, and you know, I can, you know, this guy's kind of cool. He films videos. I kind of want to film videos too, but I never had that like extra push. So I guess seeing him film kind of made me want to film as well. And no, apparently so apparently I moved in, and I always wanted to do YouTube, and I didn't get Von 7 Anime Freak from him because I know his name is FREAKEATIng. I got it from a whole totally different concept of an anime website I used to watch, and it was called animefreak.tv, blah blah blah, and Von was my name, and 7 because I was born July 7th. I am one of 7 siblings, and 7 is my favorite number, so yeah, 7. So Von 7 Anime Freak, that's how it came up. It didn't have anything to do with him. And it was very intimidating being around him because he would say like, oh, this was too hard, this is too hard, and whenever I wanted to try something, you know, oh, this is hard. You know, the Warhead Challenge, which is my first real challenge, the Warhead or Talkies Challenge, and I did it, you know. But anyways, other than that, so I thought it was cool. It was something new. I was 20 years old, so I was like, yeah, you know, something new. And then this is when it starts getting really, really weird. This is when I write 3 pages long about how uncomfortable Nader's dad's behavior is towards me, where the things that he was doing and the things that he showed me were just disgusting. And I don't know why Nader doesn't want to accept the fact that his dad is this way, but his aunt accepted it. Yusuf accepted it. The stepmom accepted it. The mom, may she rest in peace, she accepted it. And I'm not trying to bring up his mom again in any sort of vain thing at all. I'm just going off what Yusuf has been telling me about the misfortune that she has been through, and the fact that she wasn't allowed to do the things she loved in life because of this man, which is the same route I was going in. Now, when I moved, I had 9 cats. And the reason why I had 9 cats is because when I was younger, I accidentally nicked my cat in the eye with one of my dad's favorite knives that I had on my hand. My room was covered with my late father's knives and swords and whatever, and I was careless, and when I got up I accidentally nicked my cat right in the eye and was crazy. That's why I have this really panicky disorder. If I see a scene in a movie with someone's eye, I'm just like, no, I can't. I'll just hyperventilate and just not cool. And I did pay for the cat surgery that same day, and the cat was fine and healthy, but I felt guilty internally about how could I be so careless. But then you hear about people accidentally running over their pets. You hear about people, I had a friend who had a bird that he put on his shoulder, or was it a hamster, and he was on a rocking chair and it accidentally fell and he squished it, and he told me about such horrible stories. And I was like, if an accident happens, it doesn't make you a bad person. It's an accident. I took my cat to the hospital. I got my cat the surgery, and the cat was fine, but I felt this overwhelming guilt. So for the next few years, I was rescuing pets. I rescued over 20 cats. I kept 9. Me and my friend would have a Facebook page we were a part of, and we would get them neutered and safe. And I still have that feeling now of like donating to shelters and doing all these things for pets because I love animals, and it was just a horrible traumatic experience when I was younger. And that's why I had so many cats. And the dad would use that against me sometimes, but I'll get that in when I talk about how he wouldn't let me get out of the house sometimes, and he would threaten and say, oh, I'll call the city and tell them you have this many cats in the backyard, blah blah blah, and just a lot of horrible stuff. But my mind's kind of like skipping, even though I wrote all this stuff. It's like, oh, you can't see because of the light, but I wrote all this stuff, and I might be missing stuff, so I might be putting in stuff, I might be adding stuff. So let's start about the second week that I lived in his home. So they, for 2 years, did not give me a house key. There have been times where I have been stuck outside for hours and slept outside by the car on the concrete floor because they didn't want to open the door. Or they were awake but they didn't want to let me in because they were punishing me somehow because I was out. So, you know, a lot of stuff like that. But Natter's dad called the cops on me, let me tell you, 4 times. 4 times. And if it wasn't for his brother Yusuf, I don't know what the hell would have happened to me. So this stuff that happened to me when I was 21, you know, I was 20, and then my birthday happened. Within that few weeks, me and Natter were going to each other's houses, and then I turned 21 when I lived with him. And or I turned 21 at my home, and then all that crap happened with my mom, and then I lived with Natter. So sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained, but so I didn't have a key. So I would hop through the fence or whatever, go to the backyard and bang on the door, the sliding door. But the sliding door was slightly open, and I heard them saying my name, talking crap about me. And I didn't like that at all. And I'm a very vocal person, so I heard them talking crap about me. And I was very surprised because it's like I moved into this place, I thought things were going to be cool, and all of a sudden I did absolutely nothing, 0 to you guys, and all of a sudden you guys are talking all this crap about me. So I'm the type of personality that if I hear something, I'm going to charge in there and say what's going on. I'm not going to wait a day or 2 or a week and be quiet and pouty. I'm going to tell you exactly what's on my mind and why my actions are the way they are. So I opened the slide door. I walked in there and I said, you guys are pieces of shits, blah, 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 talking behind my back, you know, and stormed into the room. And there were 3 rooms in the house. The smallest room was me and Natter's. The bigger room was for Yusuf and his boyfriend Ray, who were eavesdropping on the conversation, and that's where he helps me out, and I'll get to that part later. Excuse me. And so that it's the dad's room on the side. So I walk in the room, run into the room actually. I'm upset. I just came from work. They wouldn't let me in. I went around the back. They were talking crap about me. I thought everything was going good, so I went in the room. What happens? Natter's dad comes about, right? And I have a makeup table. I don't know if you guys remember that black fold table that I used to do my videos with Natter in, that black fold table. It had all my makeup on it, and he went like this. And he pushed my makeup and was cussing, and then I was like, show me your blah blah, old man. Like, you're not a man, you're a blah blah. I'm saying blah blah so that YouTube doesn't say, oh, you're talking inappropriate or whatever. So let's just say blah blah are cuss words. So we were blah blahing at each other. And I didn't know at the time that Yusuf and his gay boyfriend, I mean, you know, Yusuf and Ray, I just love them so goddamn much. They're amazing people. They were eavesdropping to see if the situation would escalate because, like I said, Yusuf is the one that helped his stepmom escape because he didn't like his dad. His dad didn't approve of him, didn't approve of his lifestyle, tried to control him, etc., etc., etc. So, after that, you know, I was yelling, and he was yelling. Natter was just kind of just like in the middle, like, what do I do? You know, kind of like apathetic bystander. That's how I would describe him. And so Natter's dad says, I'm gonna call the police on you. So he picks up his phone, calls the police and says, help, help, she's trying to kill me. And blah, blah, blah. And hung up the phone. And who storms in saying no, 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 no? Yusuf. He heard everything. He called the police and said, my dad's on medication, my dad has a hernia, my dad has lupus, my dad's in his 60s, my dad this, that. And he was like, no, she's not trying to do A, B, and C, and D. He stood up for me when Natter was just sitting there and he was going to let his dad get away with lying, saying that I was trying to off him, basically, just because I was yelling, just because I was defending myself. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And I knew that I had to remain calm because I knew that there were going to be police at the door because they said I tried to off him. Okay? So I heard the police, right? I sat calmly down. They were still yelling. I sat calmly down on the couch. Yusuf and his boyfriend were there. Natter was sitting on the couch. I was sitting on the couch. The dad was sitting on the couch. 3 police officers came. 3. Right? And I still remember the day because this is what I was wearing that day. And I kept this picture up on my Instagram because I wanted to remember that this is the day that they tried to send me to jail. Right? Me. And I didn't do anything but yell. So they don't like any sort of, not authority, they don't like people standing up for themselves, especially girls and women. That's what I noticed about this damn house. So the police came. They talked to the dad first, and the dad tried to lie and say that, like, I'm some sort of stranger, and I'm not engaged to his son, and I went like this to the cop. There's my ring he bought me. The cop was like, yeah, you bought her this ring? Yep. Yeah, because what, we're engaged. How long have you been here, ma'am? 2 to 3 weeks. You know, and he was asking me questions, asking him questions, and then he brought up my dead father and was like saying that because my dad abused me physically when I was younger, that makes me mental and I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I try to hit him, and I was like, all these lies and lies and lies and lies that I kept inside of me that I wanted to shut my mouth up because I wanted to not ruin Natter's career. I don't want to make things hard for his family, and I'm not trying to do any of that stuff, but this is what happened to me. This was behind all those fake smiles of you guys seeing me stuff my face and trying to get along with his friends and trying to do all these things, and it's like, that wasn't me. Like, so yeah, I liked doing those challenges. Yeah, I liked certain aspects of it, but that wasn't really me. That was just like, hey, blah blah blah, you want to film every weekend, let's go here and there and here and there. And we just went to what, 2 or 3 anime conventions a year for me, and that was a hassle. But yet every weekend and every other weekend we travel to Vegas and San Francisco and whoever to see your stupid friends and do your stupid videos while I'm here like an idiot holding the camera for you guys, haven't eaten. And I'm really sorry that this person named Mickey Sudo, she's like a great female eater, amazing. She actually witnessed me and him having like this blow-on attack with each other because I'm sorry, I'm jumping to stories because one leads to another leads to another. I didn't finish the police story. Sorry, Mickey, you had to see me and him argue. That's because he said he was going to feed me and he didn't, but he would rather do a stupid challenge and hang out with his friends and his then girlfriend or then fiance or then engagement partner or whatever, because he was too busy being arrogant and whatever while I was sitting here starving. There was many times like that, and you know, when you have to force the person you're with to get you food because you're hungry, or if they're trying to give you some sort of attitude, I don't want to get you food, why didn't you do that earlier, blah blah blah. It's like, you should be a man enough to know that when you're traveling somewhere with someone, you have to help feed them. Like, I'm not gonna travel, you know, 5 hours with my boyfriend and then do a freaking anime business job and not say, hey hon, are you hungry? Hey hon, are you okay? I know you've been filming this, I know you're tired, do you want this, that? No, that wasn't present. Now, I'm not here to bash Natter's name, but all that stuff that happened was not okay. It wasn't okay. It was not okay. That crap, that abuse is not okay. Anyways, let me get back to the... Oh, I need a water. Oh my gosh. Let me get back to the... Let me get back to that police story. So basically, he tried to say that my dad, blah blah blah, bring up my dad, blah blah blah, she's a bad girl, she's a bad girl, if your dad was alive he'd be disappointed, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. So the police officers, after they finished talking to him, talking to Natter, talking whatever, they wanted to talk to me, and he was interrupting every time the police officers were talking to me, and the police officers told him to shut up. They were like, shut up, she's talking now. And you know what they told me? They liked my boots because I had these amazing Lady Gaga-esque, I don't want to call them Lady Gaga-esque, but they were like the heelless shoes with the spikes. And he was like, wow, those are really cool shoes. My wife would like those shoes. And he was talking to me about my style. And I really admired that. After I told him about, like, no, I just heard them talking crap about me and I was enraged. I didn't assault him. He broke my makeup. You could go in the room. You can see my makeup. Now, why would a girl break her own makeup? Like, that crap is expensive. You have your $50 foundations and your $20, $30, $40, $50 eyeshadow palettes. Why would I break that? Why? You know? It doesn't make sense. It's like a guy breaking a wall, and I mean, it's like a guy breaking all his video games and his Xbox and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it does happen, but not rarely. So I'm like, why would I break my own stuff? Why? It's not like I had a lot to begin with. Okay, so afterwards, I realized that I was not safe in this home. I was not safe, and afterwards, after the police left, I had taken some Tylenol because I was starting to feel this bad headache, and I mixed Tylenol with ibuprofen, and Ray offered me some wine, and I was drinking wine, and I was just too much pressure from like the cops coming and all kinds of stuff, and my brain couldn't handle it, so I went to the bathroom and I actually passed out on the floor for an hour in the bathroom. Natter's dad eventually noticed and he unlocked the door, and what really hurt my feelings then was when he opened the door, instead of Natter coming to see if I was okay, he just stood there by the door kind of like this, and Yusuf was like, oh my god, and who came to hug me that I was okay and to give me a kiss on my cheek or my forehead was Yusuf's boyfriend Ray. Which, by the way, I'm happy you made it onto Glee as a beautiful musician. You are awesome. You are everything. Thank you, and Yusuf, so much for standing by my side back then, because not even the people who the guy who I was, you know, with or whatever, he didn't stick up for me the way you guys did, and you guys are more of a man than he ever will be. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Again, I'm not trying to tarnish him. I'm not trying to ruin him. I don't care. He's moved on, I've moved on. You know, occasionally he comes up to Victorville to visit his dad or whoever, last I heard, and my family and him always run into each other for some reason. But my family knows that they're all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but they try to do the nice thing of, oh, how are you? Everything's good, bye bye bye, toodaloo, guess who I just saw, blah 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 blah. You know, and it's fine if my brother still watches videos, or whoever still watches his videos, or whoever still watches my videos. It doesn't matter. I'm sick and tired of crappy things happening to people, and they are too scared or too nervous or too worried about what might happen to them to speak out. I'm happy for the Me Too movement. I'm happy that women and girls and, you know, guys are actually speaking about stuff that happened and not keeping it in all the time, because we have to realize that things are not okay. Bad things are happening to us every day, and we're just letting it slide like it's invisible. Oh, I'm happy, I'm delusional, everything's fine, I'm covering my pain with this thick blanket, and, you know, everyone else can see it but me. It's like, okay, so there have been many times like that, which I will get into, and I'm sure this video is going to be super long. I'm going to speak as much as I can and probably split this into 2 or 3 videos. I know it's going to be super long, but if you guys want to sit here and listen to me and listen to stuff that happened to me 4+ years ago or whatever, then, I'm not 4 years ago, way more than that, then, you know, keep on watching. I really appreciate you guys who have made it this far, and thank you for supporting me. And I might actually disable the comments, because I don't want people saying bad things about him. I don't want people saying bad things about me, even though they do anyways. I don't want it to be some sort of weird battle in the comments or something. I just want it to be disabled so people can say their piece in their brain. I never thought that I would make a video about freak eating, honestly. I thought that, you know, yeah, crappy things happened to me, but it's in the past now. It's like, no, just because it happened in the past doesn't mean it's forgotten. Just because someone trapped you in this home for 2 years and made you kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and paranoid and things like that affects me daily. And it's like, the majority of my problems with Nader was his father. And let me tell you, so I wrote down a lot of things that I'm trying not to forget. So Nader's father's behavior. He would believe that angels and prophets spoke to him. He was convinced that anyone who looked at his woman or talked about his family or whoever was punished by God. And this is a really sensitive subject for me to talk about, because when I was younger, okay, my mom married this guy, but my family knew him for years and years and years. We knew his family as well. Since my mom and this guy was married Arab-wise, it kind of means like his kids and our kids are kind of like step-siblings, kind of, right? But no, they didn't like us, we didn't like them. It was like this whole big thing, but I still had my mom's husband's, I don't want to call him stepdad because that's weird. My mom's husband's firstborn son and I were friends on Facebook, and we actually talked to each other here and there, and he was really into workouts, and may he rest in peace. He was only 23, and one of his favorite workout songs was the Trapped song by Headstrong. And what hurt a lot was that when, you know, I was crying because I came home from work one day because my sister had texted me saying that, you know, basically my stepbrother committed suicide. He was in the Marines, and, you know, unfortunately stuff like that happens in life, and I just started breaking down crying, and I went to the closet at work and I just started to cry, and I came home and I told Nader what happened, and his dad heard, and his dad basically said that this was what he wanted, this is what the dad wanted, and this is what he had wished for. Like, God answered his prayer that anyone who would talk about his family or whatever would be punished by God somehow. And I looked at Nader dead in the face and I was like, are you serious? Are you seriously gonna let him say that about someone who I've known since I was a little kid, someone who I played with, someone who I have pictures with when I was little. You're literally gonna say that he deserved that and all kinds of shit that happened. And that's kind of when I started to like distance myself from Nader. And by the way, we never had sex with each other. He wanted to get married, right? But we still did other things. So much for being a woohoo good Muslim or whatever if you still did things with me that wasn't sex. So yeah, whatever. It really hurt. I wrote, I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut to protect other people who don't deserve it and will not hold the same loyalty to me. Nader knew his father had a problem and he was in denial. Nader's dad would put random pieces of wood around the home to change the airflow, and he had lots of strings attached to doors. I don't know how to explain this, but when you guys have a door, Nader's dad would have like random pieces of wood like on the roof of the house, on the side, to kind of like change the airflow and things. And what's that sign right there? Like change the airflow and things. And this is difficult because this is also another thing I was like, wow, this is really damn weird. So he would have pieces of wood that were above the door, side, whatever, and he would put wrapped a string around my door so he can open it and close it. Open it and close it. And I was like, nah, this is freaking weird, blah, blah, blah. My dad, my dad. And I was just like, wow, I truly felt alone. Now I'm trying to like, okay, I'm sorry. The camera's getting too hot because there's a big light, diva ring light right behind it. But I'm sorry, because if I turn off the light, then everything's going to be dark and you can't see. So I'm trying to fast forward to stories that I could probably elaborate later in separate videos. But if I had those damn pictures, or if I find pictures or videos when I lived in that house and you can see wood slabs everywhere, I can show you what crazy freaking person he was. And that was weird to me, that he felt uncomfortable when my door was locked and he had to come and open it slightly. So every time I closed the door, it was like a freaking child. He came and opened it. I don't care if you're in your 60s. I don't care if you're in your 20s. I wouldn't say if you're 10 years old, you kind of don't know better. You get a slap on the wrist. But, like I said, if you're an adult, you're a teenager, you know better. He's in his 60s, opening the door while I'm in there. It's like, you don't know, I could be changing, I could be doing A, B, and C, and D. I close the door. No, you have to leave it open. Like, my house, my rules. And it pissed me off that it's like, I have to follow your rules, whatever, dude. And it pissed me off so much because I felt like, damn it, I'm in such a hellhole and I don't, stuff like that. And another thing that really freaked me out, that Nader kind of just blew over his head, was that he had an obsession with spy cameras, spy gear. He had these glasses that had a camera on them, a pen, all these kinds of things. He had a camera outside the front door. He was a paranoid man, and he had cameras everywhere. And he actually was recording me without my permission, which is illegal. Unless you're in public, you're allowed to record, and if someone's in the background, they're in the background. You can't really do anything about it. Obviously you can't record anything illegal, obviously. But the fact that I was wearing this like green lingerie that came to my knees, kind of like spaghetti strap, and that I saw it on his laptop because he showed me. He's like, oh, look at this camera. And it was me cleaning in the kitchen in my freaking lingerie. And I was like, holy hell. Went to Nader, told him, he didn't care. And it's like, your dad's psycho and you don't care. You're a freaking dummy. You're this puppet. He's the puppet master. And it's been like that for years, which is why you were living by yourself and he didn't want to live alone, so you moved in with him when you could have just left him be. You know? That's why Yusuf and his boyfriend moved away. Because they couldn't take it and they wanted to live life. And you want to know what Yusuf told me before he moved? He took me outside. You know what he told me when I was smoking at that time? He said, you need to get your license, Vaughn. That's the first thing you need to get away from here. Now you're going to tell me his younger brother is giving me this advice to get away just because? Like, that's his brother. He knows his family better. I know my family better than you do. You know your family better than I do. He knows his family better than I do. So this is his aunt, his brother, everyone telling me to get away from this man, get away from the dad, get away from this, environment. And it was hard for me to get away because I didn't have anywhere to go. And by the way, let me tell you about my work. Okay? After that, I'm going to take a little break and just rewatch this, make sure everything's, I'm sorry if I'm not focused or whatever, I'm just tired. Okay, so I know I'm kind of skipping stories, but I'm just so angry and I've kept all this inside of me. It's all just coming out, even though I wrote all these notes and organize, sometimes things don't work out the way you do. So I did take his advice in consideration, and in the future wise, I did secretly plan to move out, which I did. What happened? So I worked at a WIC store, Women, Infant, Children. I worked across the street from a hospital in Victorville. I worked 5 days a week. I made $7 an hour, which was nothing. And I would bring home stuff from work that was maybe going expired or whatever, and things I was allowed to take. And I would milk, cheese, juice, cereal, fruit, everything I gave them. They didn't have to pay for it. And I would always discuss, how much do you want for rent? How much do you want for rent? And they're like, oh, no, I don't want you to pay us rent. You're a woman, you shouldn't pay us rent. I was like, no, I have to pay rent. And so this weird idea came about of, me being Natter's dad's caretaker. So we had this weird discussion, oh yeah, you could quit your job, and my dad doesn't like being alone, and blah blah blah. Yeah, if you quit your job, you can definitely take over and be his caretaker. And I was like, you know what, that would actually be great, because I didn't drive at that time, being 21, 22, I didn't drive. I was driving when I shouldn't have, but I didn't have my license at that time. So I actually got my license when I was 23, sorry, late bloomer. Not really, but it's when I legally decided to take my license, like many people. So I quit my job because this was something that we discussed, and I went to this place with him, Natter and his dad, and we went to go get my fingerprints, my background check. I was doing all kinds of processes, A, B, and C, and D, quit my job, and you want to know what Natter's dad told me? After I quit my job and after I went through all this processing bullcrap for him to be his caretaker, he changed his mind. And I'm thinking that was his plan from the beginning, to just make me quit my job, get my hopes up, and just be home with him so he can have someone there. And it was so crazy that Natter and I couldn't leave the house for longer than a few hours. He would get anxious, he would call, or he would go to, it was crazy. It was crazy the amount of time that this man was afraid to be home alone. It was unhealthy because it was where are you going? Where are you going? Blah, 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 blah. And I only brought 3 or 4 friends ever there. In the 2 years that I've lived there, 3 or 4 of the same people. And not often, by the way. I brought my best friend Kurt one time, and I got in trouble even though I got permission from both of them. They tried to say that I had sex with him in the room, which was stupid because we just went to go see a movie. And I was like, hey Natter, I have this friend. Can he come over and pick me up so we can go to a movie together? He's been my best friend since I was 14 years old, blah, blah, blah. We've been friends for blah, 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 7 years. And Natter was like, oh yeah, that's fine, blah, blah, blah. So I told his dad, hey, this person's coming, blah, blah, blah. And I was vlogging it, right? And he came in the room for a second and we were vlogging, and then we left really quickly, not even 5 minutes, and his dad lied to Natter and said that we were hanky-pankying in the room. And I was like, what the fuck is your problem? Stupid. And then I brought my friend Tara over a few times, and she can tell you that Natter's dad personally tried to give her pills to take, and I told Tara, you throw them damn pills away, you don't know, he's crazy, don't take those freaking pills. Oh, take these pills, they're good for you, they're good for you. You can even ask, nope, they're not good for her at all, nope. And I miss my younger brothers. I love them. As you can see, my brothers are always in my vlogs. I love my 2 youngest brothers a lot, and I take care of them a lot as well. And they would come over sometimes on the weekends, and it was just terrible having to be around that son of a you know what. And it was just awkward and just, oh, I hated it so much. but I love my siblings and I miss them because I was away from home. I was away from my little brothers and I missed them. And another time I brought this girl named Elena over, and she's awesome. She came over a few times and she was like this gorgeous being and she was nice to me. My photographer Tina came over once just to pick me up from photo shoots. And other than that, there's been nobody that's been in that home. It's really hot in here. I'm going to just turn off the camera, let it cool down because it keeps flashing. I don't know what that means. I'm just gonna watch this and probably tell you guys more stories. Hey guys, sorry for the weird camera angle, and I had to take my camera off of the light because it kept flashing that it was too hot and I couldn't really proceed like that. Also, my hair is longer than this. It's just really curly and poofy. It goes like down to here, but I'm growing my black hair out. But anyways, I'm gonna try to put this on the tripod. Change the angle a bit. Still, am I in focus? Am I not in focus? I don't know. I just wanted to say that I know this video is super long and I'm stressed out because I've never done this before. I've never really publicly said what's on my mind and what like crap happened to me before, especially with someone I was intimate with. Let's see. Oh, also his dad was a germophobia, so whenever I would clean, he would say, oh, it's not good enough, blah, blah, blah. He also called the cops on me because the music was too loud and the cops had to come talk to me and say, oh, you need to turn the music loud. And I told the cops, no, I'm not going to turn the music down because look at the neighbors, they're so damn loud. Everyone's dead, why do I have to turn? And the cop was like, and he left. Also, the third time he called the cops on me was because I was cleaning and there was like an empty dish bottle, and it was like one of those, just a cheap generic empty dish bottle, and it was empty, so I decided to throw it away and I bought a new dish soap, and he said that that was my wife's or whoever, you threw it away, and he called the cops, and he said I also tried to poison him just because I was spraying the kitty litter box with perfume. He had two cats, Speedy and Murphy, which I love. Rest in peace, Murphy, you were a really cute cat. Also, his house was he was a hoarder. There was a lot of dangerous items around. The living room was not safe to walk through. It was full of tools and junk and dust, and I have asthma and it would always give me problems. He also was this, I already mentioned this before, was this weird religious fanatic that believed that God was talking to him and prophets were talking to him. He's a prophet. Angels were talking to him. Just, and he was just stupid. Okay, so basically I already discussed that he had cameras everywhere and sunglasses, pens. He even went out in public with these glasses and started recording people when they didn't know. He had a problem being with alone. He would threaten me, like I said before, if I had 9 cats. Called the police on me. I'm just reading my notes here. So my brain's all scattered. Let's see. He made me quit my job. Also, Natter was a great history teacher. He never abused me, although we have shoved each other before. I've shoved him against a wall or poked him or pushed him, and he's pushed me on the floor before, but he's never hit me. He's never like got in my face and did all that crap. So I'm not saying Natter's like some abusive person, but I will say that it's not okay to be a bystander when someone is mentally abusing the person that you said you love and whatnot. Also, he lied about my family and saying that my then 17-year-old brother was interested in his wife, which was the stepmom, which was the 50-something-year-old woman who was nice to my family, and he was just trying to do everything to sabotage my family by saying that my brother took a shower with her and all these kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, if someone just randomly told you that your sibling 16, 17, 18 was trying to take a shower with some 50-plus-year-old woman, it's like, there's like 10 people in the house. You don't think someone was gonna notice that? Like, seriously. And he's just making up a whole bunch of lies. So I just wanted to include that because I wanted to let you know that my brother is not like that and Natter's dad is delusional. And I was with FREAKEATING for about over 2 years. Reason why I left my mom's, blah blah blah. Talk about our arrangement, yes. His family warning me and telling me to leave. Talked about that. Let's see. I wrote more papers, but yeah, so there are a lot more stories that I would love to cover, but I'm in this kind of shocking state that I'm even expressing this, and I want you guys to do the same. And if you guys are going through a hard time, get out of there. Don't be like me and wait 2 years. And before I go, I should probably tell you guys how I managed to escape. And I'm not going to lie to you guys here on YouTube. And those times we were together, I was, for the last like half year or so, I was, maybe more than that, I was secretly planning my escape. And I didn't love Nader the last, I'd say the last like almost 10 plus months I was with him because of his dad. And when someone tries to make someone go to jail for a crime they didn't commit and lie on your family, lie on your dead family members, lie on so many things and not defend you, I had no love for him at all. And I was planning my escape, and I will tell you guys more about how I planned my escape to escape from him, his dad, and I will probably make that in another video of how I escaped from FREAKEATING's home, because I just feel like that story is another story within itself, because I just have a lot to talk about. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for supporting me, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm sorry I haven't been making videos that much. I literally work 6 days a week, and I'm trying to build my PC up. I even have parts for it, and I'm trying to be better, and instead of borrowing like my roommates and all that kind of stuff. I love you guys so much. Jana Mina, or Jane, that's how you're actually supposed to say it. Jane, but I say Jana because it sounds cuter. Jane Mina, don't forget to watch anime, and I love you. And just letting you know, it doesn't matter who that person is. If you've been abused, if you've been mentally, physically abused, if the whole world caved in on you, you are allowed to speak your truth. No one else can take that away from you. No one can take that away from you. You are an amazing human being, and I love you. And if you're going through a tough situation right now, I love you, and I want you to know that you need to get the hell out of there. Don't be like me and wait years and have this weird panicky suffering disorder because of you not being able to leave your home for various reasons, because you would get in trouble or you were afraid that someone's dad was gonna call the cops on you. And imagine living 2 years like that, where you couldn't go where you wanted to go, you couldn't hang out with who you wanted to hang out with, and you had to stay living according to someone else's rules, and you couldn't do what you wanted to do for years, even though I was in my early 20s and I couldn't do anything, and I was really upset about it. I didn't really have family members to turn to. I didn't really have friends because they weren't really allowed over, and a lot of more bad crap happened to me that I want to talk to you guys about. My voice is actually giving out right now. I'm really tired. It's like 3 in the morning and I have work tomorrow. I love you guys. Please understand me, and if you don't, oh well, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but just know that not everyone is going through sunshine and rainbows. There are a lot of people out there who are suffering like me, and there are a lot of people out there who pretend that things are okay when they're not. So please, just, you know, if you're weird and an individual, just be yourself, and I love you for it. So please subscribe to my channel. Love you guys. Don't forget to watch anime. Also, I'm watching Demon Slayer. I'm gonna cosplay Nezuko because she's freaking adorable. I love the anime. I love you guys.